crafters, welcome to Judi Stamps. This is Judi Anderson with JudiStamps.com, and today we're going to be doing the technique called Joseph's coat. Now, I've got a little bit of a twist to it. I like adding a little bit of a little different twist to doing the old traditional Joseph's coat technique. Now, we always taught people to use glossy white cardstock with it, but I found that you can use our ultra smooth white cardstock because it does have a little bit of a finish, so you can blend your colors. And we used to teach it with a spectrum pad, which was like a rainbow pad, but you can get the same effect using your ink pads, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's get started. The colors I'm using is Hello Honey, Tangelo Twist, oops, close that, and Real Red. We're going to start with our lightest color, which is the Hello Honey, and we're going to ink up our brayer. Let me ink this up really good. Lots of ink, and when you ink this up, you see I keep rolling it and lifting, roll and lift. You don't want to just go back and forth because you're getting ink on the same spot on your brayer. So we're going to start by brayering color on, and I'm going to start down at the right hand side and just move up, and you'll see it gets lighter. We're going to start on the right side of our cardstock, and we're going to start on the cardstock because if you start off you'll get a little line on your brayer. So we're just going to start rolling and lifting, roll and lift, and keep blending it both ways because I do want the bottom to be a little bit darker, and then blend it out. Okay, now I'm going to go into the Tangelo Twist. I'm not cleaning my brayer at all. I'm just inking it up. And I'm going to start up a little bit, and I'm going to kind of go down into the Hello Honey because I want my color darker on the top. So I'm going to ink and ink it down and just keep going. And you're going to get a little bit of a mix of a color in between. If you want it a little bit deeper, go ahead and add some ink. And it doesn't matter if you have a definite line or not. Now I'm going to go into my Real Red ink, and I'm going to start at the top again and just keep going and blend it down. And you notice I went over the Tangelo Twist a little bit. Okay, I'm going to get some of the ink off because I do want to pick up a little bit more of the Hello Honey and get ink on there and go over the Hello Honey and bring that color up a little bit so it blends into the Tangelo Twist. Wow, that's really dark color, isn't it? This is going to be great. Okay, I'm going to close my pads up because I'm done with my pads. And this is the point with your traditional Joseph coat that you would start stamping on this ink with your Versamark. But I want to make a little scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Wild Wasabi ink and my stem image from the Flower Patch stamp set. I'll show you this stamp set. This is a great stamp set because of all the solid images to do this technique. I like more solid of an image to do this. Okay, and I'm just going to put some stems with my Wild Wasabi. Some a little bit higher and some a little bit lower. That one there and this one down here. Okay, because I want that to remain clear. And before I put this ink pad away, I'm going to get out my stamp positioner and ink up my stamp one more time and stamp that down. And I probably do it backwards from all of you, but I like doing the image at the bottom instead of the top. And what I did is I lined up this plastic sheet, inked up my stamp, and put it down in the corner here at the L. And then what we're going to do is we will be stamping over our Wild Wasabi ink with our Versamark, because we don't want the leaves to be covered up. So I want to make sure that this is good and dry, which it is. So I am going to get my embossing buddy. Okay, we set that to the side. I grabbed my little paintbrush here, and I'm just going to remove those flecks that did stick. My ink was a little wet yet. I should have either hit it with the heat gun or let it dry a little bit. I recommend hitting your ink with the heat gun before you go and use your Versamark. Okay, so I got all that extra off. This is going to be a little bit noisy. I'm going to take my heat gun and heat it up a little bit. And we're going to watch that embossing powder turn to clear. And you'll notice that I am not waving my heat gun around. I don't like waving it. I like holding it in one position, because as soon as the gun heats up enough, you'll notice that it starts heating up farther. And if you wave it around, you're really not getting a concentrated heat, and then you'll get some spots that aren't melted, and then have the tendency of burning some of the areas that melted first. So just slow and easy. And as you can see, it's turning darker and the white's going away, the powder, because it's turning to clear because you're melting those little plastic beads. Now you might want to make sure that you get them good and melted, holding it for a couple seconds after it's clear. And I go back just a little bit to make sure that I've got it melted really good. Be careful not to burn, remember. Oh, there's a little spot up there that wasn't quite melted. Let's see up there. Okay, so now we grab our brayer again and our Memento ink. I'm going to clean this brayer off just a little bit. And just wash and dry it. Just roll it a little bit. Most of the ink is off already. And you want to ink it up. And you may not get all this black ink off of your brayer. I'm going to warn you. Okay, and then what you're going to do is just brayer that black ink all over. Get it good and dark. I know I've got a couple customers that actually have told me that they take their ink pad and rub it on. I don't like doing that. I like the brayer. Whoops, there goes my pad. Oh, sorry, Max. Right off my stamp table. Sorry. And you can just move that ink across. Okay, until the background is good and dark. Okay. Now I'm just going to heat that a little bit because it's kind of cool in my stamp studio today. And I want to make sure that black ink is good and dry, and I can tell that I've got some wet spots. Now I don't want to heat it enough to melt the embossing powder. I just want to dry that black ink. Okay. Got that. And you want to have a soft cloth. And I can't find the off button. There we go. Or paper towel. And I'm going to hold my finger on a piece of paper towel here. And you're just going to buff those embossed images. And look how they just pop out. Look at that. How nice and bright they are. And when I do this, I'll go over them once. Then I'll get a clean spot, start on the opposite side, and go across. Now you do see these little specks here. That's where I missed some of the embossing powder speckled off, but that's okay. Okay. And see how you get that variegated color coming through? Not a whole lot of the yellow, but I did the yellow because I wanted the green. So there's your Joseph's coat. Isn't that awesome? I'll be sharing the card that I make with this a little bit later this week, as well as some other fun stuff on my blog. So until next time, happy stamping.